Hey folks, how's everybody doing? "6:10, up early. Early's always nice. I like when it's really early in the morning. I can hear my spirit. So, as you can tell, if you may have seen by the title, um, our ascending love. I'll be talking about that, and the main focus for everything I'm going to be doing from now on is going to be that. And the reason why is because for the longest time I've been a bottom line person, meaning I really want to know the substance of what really matters. And our true nature is extremely relevant to this incarnation and what takes place here. I heard somebody say this, and I know this to be true. Oh, yes, I do know this to be true because of experience. He says, when you leave here, the only thing that will bring you to your knees is your love. And it reminded me of what Alex Collier, his contacts, one of his contacts had said to him. The love that you withhold is the pain that you carry from lifetime to lifetime. That which will transmute you faster than anything is embodying truly who you, and what you really are. That which is transcendent, which is the love that you've always been. So that's the challenge, folks. That's the real challenge. Being able to hold the life force currents here and to be able to do things, or say, as an example, move from one harmonic universe to the other, is through the ability to be able to do that by holding those primal life force currents. What enables you to do that? Faster than anything? Love. Where there's love, truly, there is no fear. Fear is an artificial emotion. Anything that is conflicting within your body, love can heal. And it's a matter of surrendering ourselves to ourselves, really, here. So, this is the reason why I gave this stream this title. And it's something, like I said, I'm going to continue to focus on. That's where the transformation takes place. Truly. We can do all kinds of things. It reminds me of a biblical verse, right? You can do, I'll just paraphrase, will paraphrase. You can do many things. Have all the knowledge in the world or in the universe. Have the ability to move mountains. But if you don't have love, it's like a tinkling cymbal. It doesn't really mean much of anything. That goes to show you how powerful the love that we have always been is, and how it needs to come first. Regardless if anybody believes this or not, it's true. And it's, for me, very important for me to speak about it, and for me to immerse myself with what I do know. And regardless, if one believes that here and now within this world, they will when they leave. Listening to this gentleman yesterday, it's interesting because a lot of things have been coming into my path. And we always orchestrate that, by the way. There's nothing that crosses your path that you haven't orchestrated. Okay? So it's never by happenstance. You're creating that for yourself as a reminder or a nudge in the direction that you're going and assurance with where you're going. This individual had mentioned that the most painful thing that they experienced was experiencing truly, out of body, the love that they have withheld within this world. Excruciating. Because of the nature that we are, truly, anything other than that is painful. And as this gentleman had mentioned, it was the most excruciating thing that he had ever experienced. Now, this is not to put you in a position of, feeling anything other than wanting to embrace fully who and what you really are. It's not meant to be negative. It's meant to be encouraging, knowing that it is the most important thing. And you don't have to work it up to walk in that. You just surrender yourself to yourself. It's a process. So before we get into this, because I'm going to get into a little bit of the multidimensional anatomy, right? So I'm not going off the rails here, getting away from what I plan on doing, but this has to be the center of it all. Okay? So I'm going to play a edited excerpt for you. It's about 8 minutes long, okay? And it's a reminder, okay? It's taken from, yes, again, the 5th chapter of my book, which is a very powerful chapter. And this little excerpt is extremely valuable if you allow it to be. All right, so I will be back here in a moment, about after this is over, about 8 minutes, and we can begin. Okay.
To know you are a creator is to understand the responsibility that comes with it. Free will may be a gift, but it certainly comes with the cost of accountability, for within this construct of at one meant, what one creates affects the many. Here, within this fallen reality field embodying unconditional love, becomes the greatest challenge. Navigating through a fallen world with the intent to assist for the betterment of that world can be extremely difficult. And then you begin to realize it's not about struggling, laborious effort, or sacrifice, but rather it's about using the creative imagination, being truly present in the moment and letting go. Through a simple proclamation, we may reset our intention. Quote, I am a wonderful co-creative being that works through loving intention of the creative imagination. Being in manifest reality and at the same time being perceptive of oneself as the embodied expression of the source is the state of true self-actualization. This creates the competent ability of unwavering, unconditional love. It is also important to understand that our genuine, unique, sovereign expression really does matter, and this isn't about mimicking or surrendering to someone or something. This is about our true self-realization, the love we've always been. We are amazing co-creative beings which work through loving intention of the creative imagination. The body we are in is an instrument in need of repair. In order to play our soul's composition, one's manifest blueprint must accommodate the perpetual life force currents necessary for restoration and the fine-tuning of our instrument. The gift of free will requires co-creative personal attention for such repair. This is not about waiting around for someone or something to show up and fix us. We are in this reality field because our intention at some point put us on this soul's journey's path, so personal responsibility is required. If we are looking to heal spiritually, then it's an everyday in-the-moment process of renewing the mind to that which is true self. So again, let us define what is true self so that we may allow the ability to heal. So true self is understood as that which is transcendent of identity, outside of that which is called manifest reality, that is to say, outside of any creation field. We are the essence of all life. We are the ancients of pre-creation. We are truly that which defies description. But if we are to be defined, we would be best summarized as the highest and most beautiful expression of love. It is so important that one knows this love is their true eternal nature. Yes, in our infinite state, we are a formless non-entity, all-knowing, all-powerful. But what is the substance that makes up our very being? The greatest energy that there is or ever will be, pure love. Our soul's pure composition is our transcendent love song. We must continually practice our song that we may be ready to perform at any moment. This is our greatest challenge in this world, the process of reintegrating the love we have always been. Reintegrating our true energetic nature, true self, creates the process of metamorphosis unto transformation, which is our ascending love. We are the highest and most beautiful expression of love. In all things, let us renew our minds to this eternal truth. We are the love that has always been. Be kind to yourself. In turn, you'll be kind to others. Know self, feeling free within yourself to say this out loud slowly, contemplatively, and without any reservation. I am love. And remember, practice makes known the perfection you really are, the highest and most beautiful expression of love.
All right, so I want to play that again at the end, somewhere near the end. I don't know about yourselves, but I need to be reminded all the time. It's almost like an urgency with me, especially here of late. One other thing that I've come to realize through here recently, listening to things that have crossed my path that I orchestrated. You know, we all orchestrate things that cross our paths. Is that we're very unique. Looking at different perspective of those who are within these universal constructs, a lot of them are not aware of the things that we're aware of. Even though we're in this condition here, there is a good handful of those here within this world that have a very deep understanding of what creation is and who and what we are within it. Not all beings have that. And what I'm referring to is certain beings that are highly technical, have a very profound understanding and utilization of how to travel through these universal constructs. And they don't understand some basic things, which surprised me. But then again, at the same time, really didn't surprise me. We're unique. We're different. Unlike a whole lot of what we find within this construct. Interestingly enough, I was part of a group some years back, and the leader of that group communicated them going out of the body. They would go out of the body and had been for I would say, I guess 35 years at the time. About 35 years they had been going out of the body, and in service to what's taking place here. And this individual told me that he had to tell them what's going on here because they didn't know. And it reminded me of when I seen, according to the records, the holographic records, that the founders didn't know what was going on within this construct until about 27,000 years ago. And we're talking about in respect to linear time, supposedly. Of course, I'm not quite sure about that because time works differently within each density. That billions of years had gone by and they didn't know what was going on. Just because you're in that state or within those densities doesn't mean that you know everything. You have to have boots on the ground within these fields to really get a handle on it. And even then, most people are not aware, But again, what I was emphasizing here is they needed to be communicated to what was taking place. Not only that, they needed to hear solutions to the problems that need to be resolved. Not only did they not know what's going on, but they didn't have any idea what they could do. So the reason for being boots on the ground here, just to emphasize this, there's a reason for you being here. Because you can do things here you can't do outside of it. And there's things you can do outside of it that you can't do here. Okay? But being here, boots on the ground, enables you to understand in an intimate way what's going on, therefore giving you the ability and insight of discernment and solutions where it can't be possible otherwise. I've heard it said, and I agree with this, and that is, we are the way showers. Here, boots on the ground, we are the way showers. It's a courageous thing coming into this place because you don't know how long you're going to be here. And it can create a lot of conflict, And to go back to what I was saying earlier, and in respect to the gentleman who said their experience of being separated from the love that they are and then withholding that love was so extremely painful that there was nothing to compare it to. So coming into these fields like this, under these conditions, can create that, which is a pain that we're going to have to experience. It's okay. It's all right. We agreed. We decided to do that. We knew what this would be. We knew how difficult it would be. And we did it anyhow because of why? The love that we have always been. That's why. So, this is about reintegration and a surrendering to self, to our true nature. So, that in mind, we're going to look at our multidimensional anatomy, okay? And it's through the catalyst of our true nature that it becomes relevant, okay? So if I can go to this here. All right. Does anybody recognize this? Hi, Daphne. Hi, everybody, by the way. Okay. I'm just like last time. I'm just looking at the comments and everything and try to catch up here with this. That's my soul's mission, to be love, the love that you've always been. Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's the whole thing here. It's that's the really whole thing. It's it. Yep. So whatever we do, let us do it in joy. Let's do it in easiness of heart, holding on loosely in our process, being wise with what we do, being compassionate, expressing our affection towards one another in all things whenever possible. It's an adjustment here, for sure. But whenever we have the opportunity, anytime we can remind ourselves, or circumstances, situation, can remind ourselves of that expression and take advantage of the moment once we're aware of it in that moment. Never put it off into the future. Always live in the moment and express it. Here's the thing. A lot of times we don't feel like doing it, depending on the circumstances. Everybody's different and everybody's experienced things more intensely than others, which creates trauma and all these other things. So we do our best so that we can be prepared to sing our love song with an expression. Okay, I'm being poetic here. As you may have listened to that excerpt, there's a lot of poetry with what I say and the way that I say things. And so I have a tendency here more lately to want to go ahead and just speak that way, which I normally would speak that way, but instead of directing my train of thought not to speak that way. So I digress. The point is that whenever we have the opportunity to express authenticity within that moment, regardless of how we feel, and this is something I've been dealing with for quite a long time. I hold a lot of trauma, and I've been in the process of looking to heal that, and it's been occurring over the process for me. But because I hold so much of it, and it's a long story, and it's my story, it can be difficult because that is still that element is still there within the body, and so on and so forth. And so I find myself just making a choice. That's what I do most of the time. I'm making a choice, regardless of how I feel, And I can only recommend through experience and what I know that can work, It allows you to move forward. It has allowed me to move forward, finding that moment presently and doing something to actuate the energy for for transmutation, in other words, to heal that situation within me that's been there for some lifetimes. So compassion is very important. Being present within that moment. never thinking one knows. It's very important for me to never think that I know something. It's either I know it or I don't. And what I'm not sure about, I try to keep it to myself, But being available, always thinking of others, How can I do for myself so that I can better assist others, Because it has to be first you. You have to be in a process where you're able to do that. So it's a process of healing, is what I'm saying, for yourself, so that you can be. So, yeah. Again, the question I brought up here with this picture is, does anybody know what this is? I'm just trying to get you guys to engage. Randy Maharic Sill music video I use every night. It's pure. Well, great. That's awesome. That's always my intention with what I do, that I'm, for lack of terms, I'm putting my energy into stuff like that so that it has a residual effect, It's an imprint, right? So I'm always, in my core of my being, that's really my intention behind with what I'm doing, so that it actually has an energetic effect to your benefit for those who may listen to it. Yeah. Well, again, thank you for being here, everybody. I just really, really appreciate y'all being here together. This is what it's all about, We do it. We do what we can, and use whatever means and by which we can connect. And this is one way to do it. Yes, we are hologram within the hologram. Yeah, or the interface. We're not a hologram itself, but we've interfaced with the hologram. Yeah, by you, because the body is holographic. Sort of like putting on a headset. Sort of like. Yes. It's a torus field. Anybody know what a torus field is? Again, even though the title is Our Ascending Love, we're going to be discussing our multidimensional anatomy. So, does anybody know what a torus field is? I'm not implying that nobody knows what it is. I would love to have you guys engage. So, I don't want to really hear the sound of my voice all that much, if you know what I mean. Considering I'm reliant on reading what your comments are and your responses are. Energy movement. Yes. Electromagnetic, right? So we're looking at what's creating this electromagnetic field. Anybody can answer that. What's creating the electromagnetic field? Yeah, it's the heart pumping. That's creating the electromagnetic field. And this is the reason why you'll see certain forms of meditation. It will lower the heart rate, okay? Slow it down, even to the point to where it's like so slow it's not even beating. That takes quite a bit of discipline and training to be able to learn how to do that. But what is taking place when that happens is that your electromagnetic field becomes lower. The magnetic contraction that keeps you in this body is now weaker. And the weaker that it is, the more it allows for yourself to move out of the body. Okay. Well, it's the electromagnetic. It's just the design, Daphne. It's the design itself. It's just when the heart stops, then you leave. Okay. So it's the heart rate. I'll give you an example for this. It's pretty kind of self-explanatory, but I'll just use it anyhow. Because I run into this quite a bit over, especially the last several years, 2 years especially, because of the heart condition that I've had ever since I was a young kid. At nighttime, sometimes depends on as far as if my electrolyte levels are not properly balanced. There's a lot more to it than that. My heart rate will go up and it will wake me up. Okay. And at one point it was really, really bad. Okay. So what's happening there? My body gets pulled out of stasis because my heart rate goes up. Why does that happen? My electromagnetic field has increased because of my heart rate. So where is the electromagnetic field coming from? It's coming from your heartbeat. Okay? Everything has a electromagnetic field to it. But what keeps you in your vessel, this interface, is the beating of the heart. Okay? Why is that important? It's extremely important because if anybody's practicing or looking to practice going out of the body, that part of developing the technique to be able to do that is putting the body in stasis. I put together a video, I don't know, a couple years ago or something like that, and using a delta wave. Essentially what I'm doing with that, or I put it together because I understand how this works, is that it's about putting the body in stasis while you on a soul level you stay conscious, which enables you to be able to leave the vessel. So that's what the video is for, is training for that. And along with it comes a PDF as a guideline and that type of thing. But how you leave the body at nighttime when you go to sleep is because the body's going into stasis, and which means the physical body goes into a sleep stasis. You, who you are, doesn't need to sleep. Souls don't sleep. Okay? It's the interface. So what happens is that it's like if you have a dream or whatever, or so-called, and you don't remember certain things, is because of the experience that you had within it. And there's a little bit more to this than that, than where I'm going with this, but not a whole lot. Mainly the reason why one would not remember is because they can't hold the information that you had received or experienced when you leave the body, when it goes into stasis. And when you come back, that's the reason why certain people that I've known here over the last 5 years or so who have died, and they've come back, and they don't remember anything. All they remember is black. They don't remember nothing. And that's because they couldn't hold the information when they came back into the body. The body wasn't able to hold that information. Okay. So long story short is, when you're able through meditation, contemplation, technique, to be able to slow the heart rate down and put the body into stasis, enables you to be able to leave consciously from the vessel. So when they tell us to exercise hard to speed up the heart rate, is a tactic to stop us from doing this? No, not necessarily. I mean, they're looking at one could read into that whatever they want to read into that, but there is, an importance to be within the vessel, to have the heart. You don't have to have a great deal of exercise going on, but you do need consistent exercise. You should never push yourself to extreme levels. Some people do. That's fine if that's what they want to do, but it's not necessary. That's for sure. You don't have to raise the heart rate really high in order. I mean, I have an enlarged heart, so I can't do that, but it's important that I do exercise and I have movement. Walking is one of the better things to do. But in regard to your own personal discipline in respect to meditation and practicing exercises and so on and so forth, it's just something that you set aside to develop. It's a process. Learning how to, like certain yogis, right? They do it for a lifetime, where they're able to almost virtually stop the heart within meditation. And what they're doing is putting the body in stasis, where they're able just to walk outside of it in a waking state, And, there's a great benefit behind the ability to be able to get out of the body consciously, and it's a thing, to work up to that level to be able to do that. It's not easy, okay? But it's extremely beneficial if you're able to do that, because it enables you to access things that you weren't able to access before. You're able to heal things that you weren't able to heal before. You're able to see things that you couldn't see, but you could feel. And then you now can see them, and you can not only see them, you understand them, and then because now you're accessing the field, you're able to just determine what it is, why it's there, how it happened, and all these other things, along with the ability eventually to be able to directly heal it while being out of the body. You can do that and fix your own body. It's a process. So they couldn't remember because their heart stopped. No, it's not what I said. They virtually stopped the heart, which means they're stopping the electromagnetic field of the body, which allows the soul to remove itself from the body easily, consciously. No, I'm talking about people that I've known. My uncle, good friend of mine, they died and they didn't remember anything. All they remembered was black. It's because their body is, like most people's here, is not able. It has to be healed. It's not able to hold anything that they experienced during that time of death. They come back and they have nothing because the body cannot hold that information. So it's like black. It's like nothing's ever happened. Okay, and we've all experienced this from time to time within dream state, where we don't remember anything, and then other times we remember things very clearly. We feel things very deep, and usually when we feel things on a level of exuberance, as an example, right, is because we've been in the process of healing ourselves. We have now gravitated more towards our love nature, and we've been walking within that state of awareness in respect to who and what we really are. That spark is now becoming brighter and brighter here. And then we have, the ability, because now we're making room for that information to be within this vessel, because transmutation is occurring, right? Yeah. So the electromagnetic field. So it's circulation. So the electromagnetic field that we see, let's look at our hands here for a second. Within Keylontic science, it refers to it as being axatonal lines, or you could refer to it as being meridian lines. Okay. Now, because within Eastern medicine, this runs really deep, okay? In fact, I have some books that I have here, which I plan on getting into because it goes really deep. But when you're able to take a look at, this from a multi-dimensional physics level and apply to all of the knowledge that's already here, it really opens up a greater understanding of this. So let's take a look at this real quick here. All right. So axotonal lines. Remember the techniques that I put together for singing the dimensional tones and the colors, right? Which I'll go over that here because it's going to be, this all ties in together. So let me see, give me a second here. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this and I'm going to come back to this picture here and then we're going to focus on this a bit. Okay? Because this, again, let me just re-emphasize. I've already done all this stuff, but I really wasn't able to go over it the way that I would like to because it really required a class. Okay? But you should get something out of this because this is already available within Patreon. So going over this will help that which is in Patreon to be better understood. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and play this, come back. One more time. All right, so as you can see, we have 2 thumbs, 8 fingers. So the one on the right is going to represent the electro aspect of the field. Electrical aspect of the field is the right side of the body, and the left side is the magnetic side of the body. Okay? As you can see there, the different tones assigned to each finger along with the color. So when thinking of our torus field, let's go back to that for a second here. All right. So within the center, you see this line running through. Think of that as being the Hara line, okay, which is referred to in Keylontic science, okay? So we're focusing mainly on 12 consciousness bands here, okay? So within the Hara line, we have 11 and 12. All right, so what side is that on? So on the right side, then on the left side. Okay, so let's go back to the hands here for a second. That way we can come back to this. All right, now chronologically, counting from 1 to 10. So we have chi, index finger, left hand. Ki, 2 on the right hand. 3, which is Ri, on the right hand. So dimensions 1, 2, and 3. And those are the tones, right? So then 4, back to the left hand, dimension 4, or consciousness band. I prefer to use the word or the combination of the words consciousness band, because they're harmonic bands of consciousness, which enables you to experience yourself within awareness, within the field. Remember, the field that we're in is a manifest construct. It's not who we are, and what we're experiencing within it is based on the mechanics of the field. However, who we truly are transcends this field or any field. Coming into a field, a manifest field, is to experience self differently. Okay? Talked about this before. So you're not created within the field. In fact, energy can't be created, so therefore you never were created. What you're doing is experiencing self differently in the field. The field, manifest field, creation, is for the perpetuation of creation because creators we are, and to experience self differently enables us to be able to create in different ways. And the way that we would be able to do that is, obviously, to experience self differently. So, essentially, that's what the fields are for. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we got 4 consciousness bands, as we see within the torus field or with the axiotonal lines or meridian lines. And what we have seen in the body, how it flows the same way throughout the left and right side of the body down to the feet. So where the thumbs would be, let's go to 5 now, on the left hand, mana. So your big toe, if you have a big toe on your left foot, it would be the same exact thing, all right? And go back to the Hara line here. So, ta'a hara. The reason why it's called Hara line, because the 11th dimensional band tone is Hara. All right, so on your right side, which is the electrical of the Hara line, is where you have ta'a. Like I said, I have this where I'm going over this and physically showing and doing the technique, singing, because this is all about singing this, so it's easy to remember it. Everything that you do in regard to any technique, it is best supported with impulse wave and harmony. So in other words, music. It's most effective. It's a musical construct. It's a sound alike construct, electromagnetic, okay, which means it's harmonic. It has a lot of functions. So musical construct, because it's part of the nature of who and what we are. Harmonious, sound and light. Light is the inversion of the sound or vibration or projection. Another good way to put it, because within the vibration is the code, and the code manifest is known as what is frequency or light. Light is form. Okay, so back to this again. Okay, so within the circulation of these consciousness bands, it enables us to have our ability to experience self within the fields. And this is being produced because of the heartbeat. In order to get out of the body, the electromagnetic field becomes weaker, because it's the magnetism of the field that keeps you in the body. It's how you're able to experience yourself within the field, within that density. Okay? Nothing wrong with it. But in order to be able to get out of it, you have to have the ability to be able to learn how to get out of the body here. I mean, under normal conditions, you wouldn't have to go through all this. But here you do. Yeah. So 11 and 12, that's the hara line. On the right side of your body, you have ta'a. Then on your left side of your body, within the hara line, think of subdivide, split the hara line in two, okay? Just create the image for yourself. So 11 and 12, on the right side of the body, you have the 10-band consciousness. Or excuse me, 11-band consciousness. All right. Maybe I got that wrong. Let me take a look at this. I'm pretty sure I probably did. All right. Yes, I did. So, hara and ma'a. Apologies. So, 10's ta'as, obviously, they're the middle finger on the left hand. Okay. My mistake. So, hara is on the right side of the body, and ma'a is on the left-hand side of the body within the hara line. Go back to this again. Right. So that blue line running through in the middle of the torus field, okay? Torus field, the hole, so to speak, within the electromagnetic field, it's not a hole, but it's where the two fields are joining. That's really the hara line, okay? It's referred to the hara line. Okay. So on the right side of the body, you have hara. And on the left side, or the magnetic side, you have ma'a. So that's 12. So the other two bands is within the hara line. Okay. Does that make any sense? That it makes sense to you, Daphne? Yeah, well, the idea of male and female is only things that relates to the construct design. You can call it other things. Yeah, you can call it magnetic. Yeah, female magnetic. You can call it a lot of different things. It has a lot of different functions. You call it feminine. Jeez. Point is that we're not really male or female. Not when we totally reintegrate to who and what we are outside of the field. Yeah, ma'a. I guess another way you could spell it. It's not spelt this way, but you could spell it with M-A apostrophe A-H. Yeah, masculine, feminine, but the thing of it is, truly who we are is not masculine or feminine. That's just part of the construct's design. Electrical, magnetic, magnetic and electrical. Magnetic is the feminine, quote unquote. And the electrical expansion is the masculine. I really don't look at it that way because I know I'm not any of these things. I'm just, this is the construct's design. You know, it allows for how the experience is here. When one experiences other fields that are not like this, in other words, not like anything that's within this so-called 15-dimensional time matricy, because there's plenty of them that has nothing to do with the way that this is designed whatsoever. The antithesis. So within those fields, all this is not relevant at all. This is so happens how this one works. So outside of the field, you're not a male nor female. Or you could be both or neither. Doesn't matter. But in true essence of who and what you are, you're not male or female. You're not even an entity. You're a non-entity, all-knowing, all-powerful. Okay, what does that sound like to you? Does it sound like a God or source? That's because it is. Subdivision of soul is very tricky because people think that they are what they are when they're in the field. That's what they believe what they are. That's part of the experience, but that's not who you are when you leave it and you fully reintegrate. I've heard very few. Actually, I've heard a lot of NDEs that I've heard. The majority of those are not what I understand as being reintegration at all. I think probably less than 1% is what I have heard that are actually true reintegration experiences. Because for the main reason, most people get stuck within this identity here and they think they're this. And so it takes a while for them to snap out of it. In order to be able to fully reintegrate, normally you would never be coming back here anyhow. At least not anytime soon. And plus, because of the way energy subdivides, that's the reason why there's many different versions of you. Not necessarily here, because that's limited. What people call twin flame is simply just a subdivision of yourself. And it doesn't have to be both male and female. It could just be male and male or female and female. And normally you're not on the same planet or within the same field. So it's very uncommon, especially here. I'm just trying to read what you guys are writing, folks. So we're not in a hurry, are we? I'm not. So you can let me know. I'll try to speed things up or slow them down, however you wish. I only plan things to a certain point anyhow, because I know things are subject to change. So. Yeah, it's your energy to go back to the subdivision. Thank you for bringing that up because I'll lose my train of thought. the subdivision of soul. Within my book, I think is the third chapter. I'm pretty sure. Anyhow, I break this down quite a bit to where it gets a bit technical, but it's just a subdivision, you know. It's a subdivision of your energy. So basically, what we're talking about is not necessarily higher self, as much as that you're just reintegrating your energy. And with that becomes, because it's like having many aspects of self, but you're the same being. Or I guess we could paint a picture for ourselves here. Just think of yourself being here and like within your imagination, because there's nothing is created that first isn't imagined. Okay. But think of yourself subdividing and being different places all at the same time. You know, I've had the experience twice where I've been in the body of, or in the interface vessel of myself in other fields. Twice I've had that experience. First time I had it, I didn't know what to think of it. It was like, it took me 15 years to figure out what it was, just to give you an idea. But yeah. Is the meaning? I guess you could say that. You know, I rather not. Preferably, I don't really look at the idea of higher self and those terms. I haven't done that for quite a long time, mainly because I understand. I've come to understand, or come to re-understand what I used to know in regard to who and what we are. We're always divine, so there is nothing greater than any aspect of ourselves. Twelfth, you mean like, oh, here, 12 subdivisions within this harmonic universe? Yeah. It doesn't matter. Like I said, what I just said, just based on what I've come to know for me, it doesn't matter. You're divine either way, so there's nothing that's lesser or greater. It just is. It just seems that way when we're here. Okay, so go back to the axiotonal lines. Anyhow, I'm going to move. We can come back over this stuff. All I have to do is refer to this, and I'll just come back to it, okay? But when we're looking at the Hara line aspect, right, we see, like within the Chakra system, which means sound and light are one, or light and sound are one. In the connection to the star crystal seals, well, let's break this down really quick if we could, all right? When we're looking at these different locations within the body, it's more like a blending of frequency rather than the idea of segmented, like you see a very specific yellow, orange, red, and that type of thing. And we're really just dealing with a visual light here based on what we're able to perceive. There's way more to this in colors than what we see within the visual light spectrum. Okay. But this is just, you know, an overall view of what's there to kind of give you a starting point for what this is. When you start getting into these other practices where you're going within and then you're able to get outside of the body, or at least retrieve information, you begin to eventually start to see things, or should I say, know things of what's there. And therefore your perspective of that expands into what it really is, not these, two-dimensional depictions that we see on paper. But this is a good starting point for all this, for sure. Helps you understand and to begin to navigate and so on and so forth like that, and know where things are at, where they're located. But let me pull this out for a second here. I'll come back to this. But like with what we see here, this is a blending of frequency. This is actually more closer to what it's like, okay? So, but there is the electromagnetic field, these Merkaba fields that surround everything, and everything is made up of the electromagnetic, counter-rotating fields, which are one and the same. They're not really separate. It's sort of like sound is separate from light. No, it's not. Light is the manifest code of the vibration that's found within sound. So they're not separate. They're just different functions. And the refraction of consciousness here within the field creates the experience that we have through that illusion. Let's see here. So when we're looking at consciousness bands, you can interchange that with the word dimension. I don't really care to use that word dimension because it more applies to the idea of space in regard to geometry, and so that needs to be within that type of category when you're describing it. At least that's the way I see it. I prefer to think of one dimension as being a consciousness band, which is also refers to being one DNA strand. It's the code within in the DNA that enables you to be able to have the experience here. It's a complex code, So one DNA strand consists of 12 magnetic base codes and 12 electrical acceleration codes. Okay, these are subharmonics, or the subharmonic equals being the equaling of one fire letter. So a subharmonic is a fire letter. So one fire letter equals the combination of particum and particule, and particum and particule is magnetic and electrical. So again, Merkaba. Okay? Because Merkaba is what? It's so-called two counter-rotating fields of electrical and magnetism. Magnetism creates the density. Electrical creates the expansion of that. It is a balance. And this place has become extremely dense, so it's out of balance in regard to the Merkaba fields. But anyhow, that's another subject. Particum is the vibratory magnetic base code. The particule is the electrical acceleration code, right? These are counter-rotating fields, as I mentioned, electromagnetic fields, also known as what I just referred to as being Merkaba. Everything you'll see is on this level. DNA. One DNA strand consists of what? 12 magnetic base codes and 12 electrical acceleration codes. What is that? Merkaba. Okay. It's not all that simple, but that's what it is. Okay. Is a consciousness field another reality field? Yeah, a field, in reference to the word field, would have to do with a construct, such as, us being here. This is a construct. This is referred to as many things: universe, density one, harmonic universe, construct. I use the word reality field a lot. So in that context, yes. So the electromagnetic spectrum is visual light, like we just referred to. So that's very limited. Okay, there's way more colors going on. There's way more to be experienced. So it's limited to the field. And as you begin to hold more or reintegrate more of your energy here, okay, and then your perspective opens up. We're able to see stuff that normally you weren't able to see. Okay. So the visual spectrum, we're looking at light, color. So light and color is the same thing. Frequency, color, same thing. Okay. Form is light. Okay. Densification, but also the geometric expression of it. I mean, it gets quite complicated. That's not my forte. I understand it, but my commission, so to speak, is to simplify things. That's why I get things that I get them the way that I get them, is because this is part of what I'm intended to share. Try to simplify things so that we can just have our intention very clear about what we do. We don't need, years and years and years of doing things before we get anything done. As mentioned before in the last stream, this is on the job training here. We do things based on what we know to do instinctually, and act on them to actuate the energy. We don't have time to wait around for things. Again, on the job training is a good description. So when you have that conviction to act on things, that's when we need to do it. Or inspiration or desire, whatever, it's the time to act. So anyhow, my objective has been to try to simplify things as much as possible so that we can act. We don't need to be waiting around for anything. All right, so yeah, again, the vibration is where the code is, and the inversion of that code is what we see within form or frequency. Again, dimensions are harmonic bands of consciousness. There are 12 subharmonics making up each dimension or consciousness band. The combination of subharmonics for each dimension produces a chordal harmony. So this distinct harmony is a unique tone code for that dimension or consciousness band. Dimensions, like within a reality field, we perceive 3 functionary dimensions, which are consciousness bands that can also be referred to as being shields. Which is a complete conscious awareness within a harmonic universe or reality field. I had somebody mention before, I think it was a couple streams back, about dimensions within dimensions, and what that is referring to is, I think is what people use as for term that has been used for quite a long time, as planes of existence. So these are conscious awareness aspects within the dimensional fields itself, meaning the harmonic structure of it. It's the experience of self within those harmonic subdivisions of that frequency. Hopefully I'm not confusing this. Pictures sometimes work better than words. In this case, it probably would. But let's see if I can kind of create a picture for this. So let me go back to the frequency blending thing here. All right. So moving from the left to the right, we can see how the color of the hue changes, and then it turns into a different color, and so on, so on, and so forth. So each of the different shades of that color is a frequency. So within that frequency, within those frequency bands, okay, you'll have planes of existence that you can experience yourself in. And this is what this gentleman was referring to, or asking the question about, of dimensions being within dimensions. There's not dimensions within dimensions. It's just a subdivision frequency of that consciousness band. And again, this is the reason why I like using the word consciousness band, because it's much more clear in the description of what is being experienced, because this is a consciousness construct. Okay? Consciousness field. Everything that is within it is held together through conscious intention. All right, so I don't want to lose track of the overall theme of what this is about, this stream. And, so I'm going to try to bring that back around here for a second before we continue, because I want to go to the next one, which would be that. I mean, all this stuff is found in Patreon, all the PDFs and everything for it. So if you haven't become a member there to access this material, I would encourage that, because that's the reason why that is there. So I'm going to all right, so be it the title of this is Our Ascending Love, I'm going to play this again. Hopefully everybody's still here. In these live situations here, especially lately, I'll have a theme, but that's about pretty much where it begins and ends. And then it's a matter of me just trying to be responsive to where things should go next. So it's not very well planned. I'm prepared, but not planned, put it that way, because of what I just mentioned. So I'm going to go ahead and play this again. And this is like 8 minutes. I'm going to come back and kind of go over this a little bit more, listen for anything that you have to say. First, Benson wrote something I have been meaning to address, and I haven't looked at it yet. Sorry, Benson. Randy, does the note sequence continue to the next octave, 7th and 8th? And, okay. Yeah. I mean, as far as the tones in relationship to the consciousness bands, yeah, if you were to, let me put it this way, if you were to subdivide it, like I mentioned before, in regard to the planes of existence, if you're able to subdivide it and you would be able to make like a musical instrument that would accommodate those tones and having it tuned to all this, which would be so cool. That's one of the things I had really been would love to be able to do. I have like all these projects that I would like to do that I can't do because it all needs to be funded. But long story short is that, yeah, you should be able to subdivide it in each tone to be able to be very specific with harmonically how that is, sounding. So yeah, again, to refer to the idea of visual light, we're only seeing a little bit of that light spectrum, right? There is a lot more to it than that. way, 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 way more to it than that. And so, be it that frequency and light are the same thing, okay? We can, equate the same exact thing in regard to the tones, right? It's just the combination of the tones the combination of the subharmonics for each consciousness band or dimension that produces a very specific chordal harmony for that consciousness band. So hence the reason why within a reality field, according to the KS model, okay, 3 dimensions gives us all this ability to be able to experience self differently in a complete way within that field. The problem here is that we're missing notes. We're not experiencing ourselves completely here. Okay? The idea in the process of healing enables you to begin to experience or see and know things because your higher attributes or abilities, so to speak, become activated. Okay? So you're able to start singing the soul song that you would normally have here. Does that make any sense? Hopefully I answered that relatively simple enough or understandably. Anyhow, I'm going to play this and I'm going to come back. Okay, folks. So,
To know you are a creator is to understand the responsibility that comes with it. Free will may be a gift, but it certainly comes with the cost of accountability.
What happened?
For within this construct of at one meant, what one creates affects the many. Here within this fallen reality field embodying unconditional...
I don't know what just happened, but I'm not hearing anything. I think... Is everybody still hearing me? Okay. Yes. Tell me if you hear this. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and try playing this. And tell me if you, because I can't hear anything on my end. I don't know what's going on with this thing. So,
To know you are a creator is to understand the responsibility that comes with it. Free will may be a gift, but it certainly comes with the cost of accountability. For within this construct of at one meant, what one creates affects the many. Here within this fallen reality field embodying unconditional love becomes the greatest challenge. Navigating through a fallen world with the intent to assist for the betterment of that world can be extremely difficult. And then you begin to realize it's not about struggling, laborious effort, or sacrifice, but rather it's about using the creative imagination, being truly present in the moment and letting go. Through a simple proclamation, we may reset our intention. Quote, I am a wonderful co-creative being that works through loving intention of the creative imagination. Being in manifest reality and at the same time being perceptive of oneself as the embodied expression of the source is the state of true self-actualization. This creates the competent ability of unwavering, unconditional love. It is also important to understand that our genuine, unique, sovereign expression really does matter, and this isn't about mimicking or surrendering to someone or something. This is about our true self-realization, the love we've always been. We are amazing co-creative beings which work through loving intention of the creative imagination. The body we are in is an
okay, so I can't hear anything on my end. The computer, what it'll do from time to time is that it will log the Internet Explorer logs off my sound, and that's what it's done here. So I can't hear anything. So I don't know when it begins and ends. But anyhow, folks, is there any questions or anything that I can do here on my end while I'm still here? Apparently you can still hear me talk, so any requests for anything or anything like that? Yeah, excuse me. It was playing your book. Yeah, it's an excerpt that I had taken from the fifth chapter that focuses specifically on the love that we've always been, purposely, so that it would be assisting to the theme for this stream. I just can't hear anything. That's the thing. I know that it was playing. I just couldn't hear anything, and I just wondered if everybody could hear, on your end. Um, it's hard for me to keep track of things if I can't hear them on my end. That's the thing. But as long as you guys can hear, I can accommodate. But kind of go back to what initially was being discussed. Learning any of this stuff. Let's see here. Is only relevant to the intention that's behind it. Anything that we do, the intention has to be clear. And again, to go back to the title of the theme for this stream, our ascending love, that's everything. I would recommend for those who perhaps came in late, I touched in on the main reason for this theme. And it was in the moment that I was able to communicate what I communicated, so I'm not going to try to do that again, because most of everything I do is spontaneous anyhow, and it's hard for me to be able to capture what I did before, but it's just reflective of this theme, how important this really is. And so that was the reason for me at the last moment putting together that clip from the fifth chapter of the book, which I called Our Ascending Love, because that's one of the things that's said within. So I just edited it down to what I considered the most important things to hear, because of what I just stated. You played part of the beginning, right? So if people want to go, well, I'll play it again at the end. I'm going to play a couple things. I'll just play that at the end. I just wanted to make sure everybody could hear everything. And but thank you, Daphne. Again, if anybody has something they want to discuss or something that they want to bring up, or perhaps myself being able to respond to, let me know, okay? Because like I said, I'm just making myself available. I put things together, but things can go in a different direction. I always make sure that's, this has been, well, thank you, Benson. Oh, by the way, I began to look into Telegram, not Telegram, but Instagram. That's right. I started looking. So probably today, I'll probably get an account there. Yeah. So thank you for that, by the way. Thank you, Benson. I really appreciate that. Again, I'll ask the question: does anybody want to add to any of this? Anybody wants to make a statement or anything? Questions, whatever. That way, I know what to do. Well, thank you, Galactic High Priestess. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so Love you too. Love you too, Daphne. Thank you. And so I'm going to back up here a second and just kind of go through this really quick. So our torus field, this is the result of our heartbeat. This is creating the circulation within the field, because to be in the vessel or the interface enables us to be in the field, right? Because this is our vehicle for being in the field. So this enables us to maintain being in the field. So heart beating, right? So axonal lines, we can see this throughout the body. It's like the meridian lines. We'll get more and more into this down the road, but as you can see, the circulation going through the entire left and right side of the body as the torus field or counter-rotating fields of consciousness, right? The energy. So here we see a depiction of that. We see it's when we get into this more, we'll start seeing it as a circuit, like electrical circuit, and knowing that the ground, in order to be able to have flowing of energy, within the circuit, you have to have a ground for it. Okay, so this is the reason for doing some of these techniques. And once you learn to do like the Maharic seal, you can go through that in seconds. You could just boom, because all really what you're doing is setting forth your intention, and your intention, it's like, okay, I ground myself. So you can see yourself, you can ground yourself immediately within the earth, and then immediately you can as fast as you can perceive it energetically, it will happen that quick. Okay, I mean the whole thing. So it's just really a matter of learning certain things, how the circuit works. Okay, again, then you can come up with your own techniques. Right? You don't have to follow a bunch of stuff that you did before. You don't have to even repeat it. You can do it your own way. It's all effective when you know how it works. If you know how the circuit works, then easy peasy at that point. So we can see how it extends itself as a circuit within, so-called below the feet, or within the field, right? And then above the head, all right? Like I said, all these PDFs and everything you can find all this stuff within Patreon. It's broken down pretty extensively. So, all right, so I'm going to go back up to this. I would say it's important for you to know this stuff well enough to where if you still have questions, that you can be very specific about your questions about that for me. That way we can go through things a little bit quicker, because as you can probably tell, this can extend itself in lengthy periods of time to try to explain certain things. So, what matters, again, the most is your intention with what you're doing. Your intention is everything. So the catalyst, again, for all this is your ascending love. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. It's what it's all about. So whatever we may do, that is the fuel for the reason why we do it. And it's important to understand that any techniques that we may use or create for ourselves or to share with others, the intention that's behind it, it's just a tool. It's just a tool, okay, to assist. So, all right, so the DNA thing, we're going to revisit that, but it's really not all that important right now. I just thought it wasn't, at the time to go ahead and put it together so that we could be able to access that and kind of coordinate things and see the relationship of what's happening. But it's not essential, not really. But I just thought it would be something that would be of perhaps importance to some at some point. And that's why I kind of put it together the way I did. So there's a lot to cover with that if you're interested in it. But again, it really, as far as the way I look at it, it has to be in context to what our intention is here. As you know, the reason why we came here, we don't need to know all the mechanics. We just simply need to understand. If it's important to understand the circuit and how the circuit works, okay, and our love being the catalyst for everything that we do. Well, when you walk in love, here's the thing. When you walk in love, Tanya, when you walk in love, your love, okay? The true essence of who you are. When we walk in that space, there's no harm that can come to you. That's another subject, really talk about that, as far as protection. And it's only time that anything that can come as harm come to us is what we allow. And if we accept fear as being a real thing, fear is not a real thing. It can be a real experience, but it's not what you are. The transcendence of who you are is what you are. And the love that you've always been is who you are. You know, the energy, quote unquote, which I consider to be artificial, of fear is just a trickery. Okay, so when you're in love, and that doesn't have place. It can't be there. You can't be tricked. You can't be fooled, and you can't be deceived when walking in love. What you are is a facilitator of healing. And a lot of times it's for some of those beings that are caught up in fear. I'm talking about certain beings that you wouldn't see within the so-called physical realm. I prefer not to put it that way, but just for time's sake and simplicity's sake, I'll put it that way. And some of those beings will show up to you because they don't want to be where they're at anymore. And you're able to facilitate that. Eventually, one can be able to facilitate that. You know? It's important to know the difference. And as you walk in love through the reintegration of your true nature, the realization of that knowing becomes evident within you. Well, it's the mentor technique is really when I first looked at, because here's the thing, if I may confess, my experiences predate Keylontic science. Okay, I had a lot of experiences way before any of this stuff showed up, and I didn't really know how to relate to some of it. When I'm looking at it, I go, well, that's already happened. And I go, there's an easier way to go about a lot of this stuff. But, it's in order to prepare certain things and provide it to people, you do it according to the way that you see as being fitting, And again, I'm a bottom line person, and I know love, it makes the connection of reintegration of your energy faster than anything that there is, because that's who you really are. And here's the thing, and I'll be adamant about this. Here, within this world, there's a tendency for things to overshadow that. But when you leave this body and you go back and reintegrate, one of the things that you're going to feel is the fear that was held within this world. And that's extremely painful because of the love of who you are. When anything that's absent of what you really are is extremely painful when you go back to reintegration. When you leave this vessel. So this is the reason why I am emphasizing it so much as being the most important thing. It's the quickest way to be able to reintegrate. It's all about who and what you really are, the essence of who and what you really are. Everything else is just what it is. The bottom line is what matters, you know? So that's the reason why I emphasize, if anything that you do, any technique or whatever, if you don't connect with it, then don't do it, you know? That's really bottom line. Don't do it. You need to do it in love. You need to do it in joy. You have to have some enthusiasm for what you're doing, you know, whatever it is with any of this, okay? And that needs to come first, because, like I said, there's a simple way for reintegration to occur, you know, and sometimes we'll go the long route and eventually come back to say, wait a second, all I had to do was this. Why did I spend so much time with that? So be in tune with yourself, okay? It's your path, okay? It's your path. You don't follow anybody but yourself. Respect, you know, honor, but, you know, it's your path. Yes, like, I guess I answered that, I suppose. Sorry for being a little bit too adamant about that, but it's so important, you know. I guess it's my crusade, so to speak, at these days. So, Galactic High Priestess, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the question. Hopefully I answered that in a proper way. Yes. So, love is who we are. Truly. So it stands to reason that's the first thing that we should be gravitating towards for our healing here, or for our reintegration, right? It's the bottom line. Like I said, I'm a bottom line person. I just like, well, if that's it, and that's the experiences that I had earlier, you know. And there's within that there's a sanctification that is transpiring simultaneously, where you're sanctifying yourself unto that, you know. To break down the word sanctify, simply means to make holy. To holy means to sanctify. It means to set apart, you know, everything, that thing from everything else, you know. So that's one of the things I noticed, because I spent 27 years in Christianity, and when I was at the point of being bedridden for the first time, there was a lot of things that transpired with me experientially. I didn't have names for any of that stuff, and the truth is, what's in a name anyhow? You know, so later on I got names for it, but it wasn't relative to what I experienced at the time, you know, because what you experience and what you hear as a definition or a name attached to a so-called experience doesn't really measure up all that well, you know. It's like, oh, I can see where this would be that, you know. But this, I know what I experienced, and because of the experience that you'll have, at least in my case, it's really hard to be able to put into words, you know. It's like I experienced liquid light. I experienced the silver, pale silver, and white light. I actually experienced that in a waking state. It's interesting experience, if I may share that real quick, just to give you an idea, okay, what I'm talking about here. I really didn't know what to make of it at the time, but it was really very interesting and almost entertaining because I was in front of the computer, like where I'm at now. I'm going to get in front of I'm going to put my cam on so you can see me talk. All right, so sorry about that. I have a tendency now to forget. So I was in front of the computer like this, and I was playing my guitar, my electric guitar, okay? And I kind of multitask a lot of times. I'll do one thing, and I'll be doing something else, and thinking about something else. And, you know, not all the time, but there's been times where I would function pretty well within that state. Anyhow, all of a sudden, on my left side, and this had to do, it was interesting because I have upper cervical instability. Since I was 6 months old, I have arthritis in my neck, and it's all jacked, and I got pain all the time. Okay. Long story short, just putting in there because I thought it had to do with this, because I would see white light flashes because of my, nervous system and so on and so forth. So I had this white light flash going on here on the left side of my eyesight. And then all of a sudden it just went, ooh, and it just got brighter and brighter and brighter, and everything just disappeared. I mean, this is with my eyes open, okay? Like I said, this is a waking state. And it just turned this white light. And then it went from white light into a pale silver light. And it was metallic, like, and it was liquid light. And so I'm in this thing. It's like I moved into this dimensional state, this consciousness band. I have now entered into it, or it's enveloped me, but I'm in there. Okay, I'm in this. So I'm looking around, and I see some stuff that's kind of, odd, which I'm not going to go into exactly. It's nothing scary or anything like that. When I mean odd, I mean I didn't know what it meant. I didn't quite understand it, and I started equating it with something that I thought it may be, and I was not sure of it. But I wasn't really so. The thing of it is, the experiences that I have had, some of them seem to be a little bit more meaningful to me than others. But for the most part, because I'm not the sum of my experiences, I don't really put a whole lot of stock in them. Okay? Does that make any sense to you? It's because it is what it is. What I know is what's more important within me than what I experience, So, yeah, so I mean, so that was like a affirmation, though, because of the experience I had to the pale silver light thing. And that's what you see within the Maharic Seal, or it's being explained. And so I know what it is exactly because I was immersed in it, okay? As well as like the electromagnetic field and the polymer formation of electrotonal energy. I've seen that at 12 years old when had a visitation. It parked itself over the top of the house. It's a long story. Maybe I'll tell that story sometime. Actually go into a full story mode about that. I was 12 years old at the time. And so I seen that up and close and personal. So, yeah, among other things. But it's some of this stuff is really kind of hard to explain, And it's been my intention within me is like whatever that I may have come to know or what comes through me, that I want to be able to give it in a way that people can do something with it. It needs to become practical. It needs to be something applied that's beneficial. If it's not, then I don't really want to talk about it. That's normally a reason why I don't really say too much about experiences and stuff, because it really doesn't benefit people really, and not unless I can put it into something that you can use, I mean, if you have the same experience, that's one thing, but that doesn't mean very much to everybody, and this is for everybody, right? So, anyhow. Yeah, again, I don't put a whole lot of emphasis on, what gets me the most and excites me the most is when I see divine love expressed. That I just have so much humility. I see that because it's worked through me from time to time, and I guess it's because of who we are and how much we're so in love with that. I mean, coming here, we challenge ourselves. I mean, come on. We come here and we challenge it. The greatest challenge we have is to be able to embody that here, especially in circumstances and situations here where love is absent, We're the way showers. Again, to say, make mention what I had said earlier. We are the way showers. All right, folks, I'm going to go ahead and close this out. So I'm gonna close this out with I'm going to close this out with a clip of a song that I wrote. Actually, I have different versions of this, and one of them is in Italian that I wrote like 8 months ago, which nobody has heard it. Well, one person's heard a little. Well, a work in progress. One person heard a work in progress of that, but that is the love that we've always been. And some of you probably have heard this already, but this is a short clip, and I thought I'd close out with this to remind ourselves that's who we are. All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Love you. Blessings to you. And we'll talk soon. I'll let you know as far as when the next stream will be. Okay. I'll post on YouTube a couple days, 2 to 3 days ahead of time, and also within Patreon. So if you become a member, you'll get a email notification of that. All right. So thank you so much. Thank you, everybody who showed up, who made their presence known. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate you so much. Blessings.